Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Monday, the 5th of October. All right, now, as Donald goes into hospital, the currencies, well, they're completely diffused, right? There's the momentum, on the short term and longer term charts is it's almost flatlining on a lot of pairs. And as we sort of go into a wait and see what happens from here sort of situation, I think the risk on trade will escalate if Donald by some chance drops dead. But outside of that, it's just going to slowly play out, and we'll have to sort of see how the week comes along with this. So if I just give you a look at the majors, right, it's the same picture pretty much across the board. That little down move on dollar yen, as as Trump was sort of diagnosed, has been diffused. It's sort of just come back to exactly where it was. The rest of the pairs are trading nicely, sort of within sort of recent ranges, right? We've got sort of support and resistance on most of these pairs. But what we don't have is the key ingredient. Which way are they going to go? Where's that momentum going to come from? So when you are looking at, the fundamentals are sort of patchy at this point. The influence of the equity markets is coming and going. If you look at the news pages, it's all about Donald. There's obviously the issue with China, which is still simmering below the sort of the news at the moment, but the rest of it is all focusing on Trump and what's going to happen from here. Keep an eye on sterling, the UK and EU. Okay, they got these continuing the talks. Any sort of deal there should be good for sterling, so that's something to look forward to. Like sterling and sterling crosses could really come into play very quickly. So make sure you're probably focusing on that. The rest of the pairs, we're just sort of waiting to see what happens from here, right? And if I just bring you back across to the Daily Market Insight page, you can get a sort of really clear picture. If you're doing your analysis like this, if you go through your pairs in a short-term and long-term time frame, you'll see what I'm talking about, where we had those initial moves. They're now completely diffused, sort of in the middle of the range and without any sort of momentum. The macros, well, they're sort of fading here and there. It's not really in play. And we've got so what we do have is we've got lots of levels. As I said, we just don't have the key ingredient for momentum. So just keep an eye on this. China's on holidays for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We do have some really interesting numbers coming out right this week. Centix investor confidence in the euro. I mean, I like the any consumer confidence, business confidence, employment numbers are the key numbers at the moment. So make sure you keep an eye on this. The RBA on Tuesday. And once you scroll down, we've got Christine Lagarde. She's having a few talks during the week. There seems to be a bit of a powwow between the powers that be. Powell speaking. We've got the FOMC meeting minutes. Now, this was quite important last time round. It did really impact the market, so we're going to be looking at that later on during the week. And yeah, there's dribs and drabs coming out from the central banks, and we are getting the governors and the president's chairpersons speaking. We want some clarity around what's happening with everything else macro. And this is why it's difficult, because then you overlay the geopolitical issue, which is the pandemic. And then you put Trump on top of that, the uncertainty around the leadership. We've got the elections coming up in the States as well. So there's a lot of things to really think about as we go forward. So just play it tight. If you're looking for some sort of angle to trade, I would suggest you just tune up, come over to your the correlation matrix here, if you do have Metastock, right? And sort of to see what pairs are working with what. It's a good idea. If I can just bring this time frame forward a little bit, we should be able to see. It's not really updating too much. So we're lacking a bit of data there, but there are some pairs sort of coming into play. But to me at the moment, if you're looking across the board on this, say, risk on, risk off page, the S&P minis at the moment are slightly up. That would sort of suggest maybe a potential risk on day, but we'll have to see how that goes through the Asian and European sessions. And once we get into that North American session, that's where it really gets set for the day and for the upcoming day as well. So the yen cross is slightly up. I'd say that's on the back of the this sort of slight positive open on the US equity markets. And that's all we've got to go from. Just having a look across the board here. There's really not a lot happening anywhere. So don't get yourself caught out, start over trading Monday when we don't really have the clear signals of which pairs to hit. You're better off waiting for a lot clearer direction, okay? And keep an eye on this little area here is very good. Once you get all the dollar pairs moving the same way. Well, that's pretty good markets. At the moment, you can see here, there's no sort of uniformity with the correlations. If anything, a little bit of discombobulation, which is pretty consistent for a Monday open. All right, guys, have a good trade week. Back on deck after a short break last week, and I'm looking forward to finding out where the cash is in this market. All right, guys, have a good one. Cheerio.